Hello, everybody. This is Zach Said It Again. I'm your host, Zach Cooley, and I am here with Jay Crone of the Roanoke Symphony Orchestra. He is also on staff at Virginia Tech. He will be performing with the Roanoke Symphony Orchestra on December the 14th at the Millwald Theater. They're bringing a fantastic holiday brass show to the Millwald Theater. Jay, thank you for being with me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It has been a long time goal of mine to see the Roanoke Symphony Orchestra play. I'm thrilled that they're coming to my hometown in Wytheville, Virginia,
Great.
for a Christmas show. So you guys came to the Millwald last year, is that right?
Right. It's not technically the entire symphony. It's the brass players from the orchestra.
Just the brass players.
That's
right.
Make sure that's clear. Yeah. And you're welcome to come hear us whenever the entire symphony plays, wherever we're at. Sometimes we don't get down to Wytheville very often, but sometimes we're down that way. And certainly everybody from Wytheville is always encouraged to come hear us in the Newer Valley or frequently in Roanoke. So let me know, call me up, and I'll get you some comp tickets. Anytime you want to come.
That's
my pleasure.
That's very kind. Thank you very much. That is very kind. Now, you obviously had a good reception or had a good experience last year because you're returning again this year to Wytheville. So very excited
about
that.
Yeah, we had a nice audience, nice crowd, and people seem to enjoy it. So a brass quintet is typically two trumpets, a French horn, trombone, and a tuba. So that's the instrumentation that we'll be bringing. From the bottom of a tuba, then a trombone, then a horn, and then two trumpets. I think that's 5.
Well, that will not be a problem for me because I am a big lover of brass and horn sections. So I'm anxious to hear the kind of music you will be bringing. Now, are you looking at doing more of the traditional Christmas carols, sort of the Victorian type Christmas carols, which is what I would love to hear on brass, or are you doing a nice mix of everything?
We're doing a mixture. I would describe the concert as holiday music, so sacred and secular Christmas and holiday music, and then also some light classical selections and pop selections. Sort of a pops concert, sort of what you would think of the Boston Pops or the New Year's Eve, the Vienna Philharmonic sort of thing, playing light classics. And we're going to do a set of pieces by an African composer who lived in Paris, in France, in the 18th century. He's sort of been rediscovered. It's a suite of his pieces, and in addition to some Christmas carols, and in addition to some holiday favorites like Frosty and Sleigh Ride by Leroy Anderson, and then some even an arrangement of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah is in there, and lots of a real mixture of things. So something for everyone.
Sleigh Ride is one of my personal favorite carols.
I think we've got some bells and a wood, what do they call it, a whip. I think we've got somebody owns some bells we're bringing, and I think they even own a whip. So hopefully we'll have the entire sound effect going.
There you go. Very good. I missed the show last year because I was in Marion seeing John Hardy's one-man interpretation of A Christmas Carol, which is my favorite story of all time. We are lucky enough to have John Hardy coming to the Millwald also next week, so I'm lucky enough I get to see both shows this year. So my holiday festivities for my family and me will be even more complete this year.
That's great.
We're so happy that you're coming to Wytheville to do the show.
Yeah, it's a real treat for us. It's not too far. We'll be rehearsing in Roanoke, and then we have a concert at Cave Spring United Methodist Church in Roanoke. And then we're out to the Millwald, and then the last day of our little tour, we're in Blacksburg. So sort of around, up and down the Roanoke and New River valleys. And the people in the group come from actually kind of the whole Mid-Atlantic region. Our trumpeters are from North Carolina and Maryland, and our horn player comes from Greensboro, North Carolina. The tuba player is actually a former student of mine at Virginia Tech. He's from Christiansburg, and now he lives in Chicago and teaches there and freelances. And he'll be coming all the way up from Chicago to see his mother and to rehearse with us and play these concerts. So it should be a lot of fun. Great group of people.
That's fantastic. Now, I am talking to you according to what my phone said when I called you. It said Reiner. So am I talking to you from Reiner, Christiansburg area? Is that where you're from?
No, I live in Blacksburg. I'm actually on campus at Virginia Tech right now. So
you are on campus at Virginia Tech.
Was,
wow,
a few miles off.
Okay, all right. So
but I like Reiner. I used to live out in Christiansburg. I know Reiner quite well, so it's beautiful.
You are a professor at Virginia Tech. What? I'm assuming you are a professor of music there.
That's right. Yeah, I've been here since 1994, and I originally came to work with the Marching Virginians marching band and teach all the low brass instruments, tuba and euphonium and trombone, and I've been here ever since and teach all kinds of various things. So I call Blacksburg my home.
So you are a native of what area again?
I'm actually from California. I grew up in California.
Wow.
So I had never even heard of Virginia Tech before I interviewed here. So
how did you find it? How did you find Southwest Virginia coming from?
Yeah, you kind of found me. You look on sort of it was pre-internet days, I guess, but you used to look at you'd get through the mail, you'd get job postings of positions that were available, and Virginia Tech was listed, and one of my mentors had a former student who was on the faculty here, and that was sort of my connection, and you fly out here, and the rest is history.
Well, we're glad you found a home here.
I'm
glad you found Southwest Virginia welcoming, and certainly glad that you enjoyed playing at the Millwald Theater in our very small town of Wytheville, Virginia. I've been proud to call it my home for all of my 40 years. Now, my daughter is in the 5th grade at Spiller Elementary here in Wytheville, and she was fortunate enough they had 2 of the players from RSO come out and do a music class, taught them music vocabulary and things like that.
Right.
So they really enjoyed the program and learning about that. And
that's a big mission of the Roanoke Symphony is outreach in public schools and helping the public school music teachers who are working every day to bring music to our school children. And the Roanoke Symphony sort of enhances those programs that they do. And Virginia Tech also does quite a bit of that sort of thing.
Yes.
Over the years, I've played concerts in Wytheville off and on, probably multiple occasions. It's just, it all runs together after 30 years.
Sure.
We really enjoy being out there, and last year was just a great crowd, and the staff at the Millwald was terrific and treated everyone really well, and it was fun.
It's a great team at the Millwald, and we want to keep the Millwald thriving. It just opened 2 years ago, two or 3 years ago, after I think 2 years ago, after being.
Is it a former movie theater that's been renovated?
When I was growing up, it was a movie house, and
right.
My childhood is kind of defined by the re-release of those old Disney animated films that were brought out
Yep.
during the era of Michael Eisner, and it was a family event to go to those screenings.
I grew up outside of Fresno, California, and the downtown is the Tower District, and it's the Tower Theater, and that's the first film I ever remember seeing was 101 Dalmatians. I was probably 4 or 5 years old.
That's
going to see that. Very exciting times.
That's fantastic. That was that is my favorite Disney film of all time, and I will tell you why. Because I was 6 years old. My baby sister had just been born about 6 months ago, and my great grandmother had come to our house to help with the baby, and so my mother very generously decided, you need some, all the attention's been on the baby. Let's get you out of the house, and you and Granny Rose can go see this 101 Dalmatians. And I'd been given a lecture all the way to the theater. Now, be quiet, don't talk loud. There are other people in the theater trying to hear. Don't laugh real loud and all that. And so we go into the Millwald, and we're the only two in the theater seeing that show. And my mother went upstairs to see Dying Young with Julia Roberts, and which I couldn't see. And my great grandmother said, "Oh, good, we can laugh as loud as we want to," and we did, and that's one of the defining memories of my childhood. And after,
that's right, we all remember Cruella de Vil forever.
Yeah, one of the most vicious Disney villains of all time.
That's right.
And since you are a musician, you can take note, especially of what a great score that was.
Yeah, the film scores on so many of those any great film usually has a great film score going right along with it. Everyone loves Star Wars, and one of the reasons they love all those films is all the great music that went along with it. And the Disney films have the same things that so.
Absolutely, it was great talent, especially in those days. So we've digressed quite a bit, but let's go back to the beginning for you and being young in California. When did you decide that you were going to be a musician or teach music for a living?
Well, my mother was a pianist and a piano teacher, and my mother and father were immigrants from the Netherlands, Holland, or the Netherlands, and they were Dutchmen. And one of the few things that my mother brought with her, my father was a refugee actually at the time, and they came over on a boat, and they had so many hundreds of pounds of luggage or baggage they could take, and so my mother insisted that they had to take her piano, which took up most of the hundreds of pounds.
Right.
A small Broadwood upright. And so that was the instrument that I learned. My mother was my first piano teacher, and then I started playing brass instruments in the public school about the same age your daughter is, 4th, 5th grade. And just went from there and really enjoyed. I had some great teachers, inspirational teachers, and I enjoyed practicing. I enjoyed, the thing that gets most people, that the reason they quit is they don't want to.
Don't want to practice, exactly. But you were willing to practice and put in the hours.
You called me up. I was just getting ready to do some practicing on the trombone. So
great. Practice.
If you want to be a musician, you have to practice. That there's no shortcuts about it. And if you don't like to practice, you need to find another.
Don't need to be a musician. Well, it's the same,
right.
I think with any kind of art, because I'm a writer, and you have to, if any kind of art, no matter what it is, my wife's a singer, so
right.
you have to, if you're going to have those skills, you have to, it's not a 9-to-5 job that you can retire from after 30, 40 years. It's something that is with you always, and you either hone it and try to continue perfecting it. Perfection is something you do not achieve, because I think as artists we're all perfectionists and we're all trying to reach that apex. But perfection is not attainable, but the strive for perfection you must always have, or you will lose it. And I'm sure
that's right. Yeah,
that you feel the same way.
Good writing is clarity of thought, and in order to do that, you have to practice your craft. You have to read other great writers, and you have to keep writing. And the music's the same way. You listen to other great musicians, and you keep working on your musicianship, and it's in the doing. It's the performance can be stressful. A lot of times you have to travel, you have to get dressed up, you have to be as perfect as you can be, and et cetera, et cetera. There's lots of complications along the way, and you never quite make it. But the preparing of it, the doing of it, the learning of it is really, for me, is where the joy is, learning about the great music that's out there. And,
absolutely.
You never get tired of that. Just as you'll never have read all the great books, and you've never played all the great pieces. So,
well, I am a music nut, and I would give up my writing talent any day to be able to sing. Growing up, I wanted to be, and still would like to be, Phil Collins. He was always my favorite,
Right.
And when I was 5 years old, I'm born with cerebral palsy and bound to a wheelchair. When I was 5 years old, I wanted to set a drum so I could be like Phil, but I couldn't even hold the stick in my hand. But I have this one picture of me in front of the drums, and it's like this iconic picture. So I guess hopefully it was worth the price of the drums from my mother to get that one picture, because it's like everywhere when you look at nostalgia now. When you look at the that picture of me and the drums always comes up. So, but to play, I love orchestral music, and as I said, to hear the great brass instruments is just really something that I truly enjoy. I went to see Bonnie Raitt in concert last week in Roanoke, and outside the National Capitol Band was playing for the Salvation Army, and it was freezing cold out there. But I sat out there for an hour or more and just listened to them play those Victorian Christmas songs. My favorite stories are A Christmas Carol, and you felt like you were walking the Dickensian streets while that was playing.
That's great. Yeah.
And, how long have you been a member of the RSO?
My first 10 or 15 years here in Roanoke, I was a regular on the sub list. There weren't any positions to audition for, and then
I see.
Right around 2008, I suppose, I auditioned for the principal trombone position and won that. So I've been playing with the orchestra since I got here, but officially as what we call a contracted player, only the last probably 15 years, 15, 18 years. So, but it's been great. I play several summer festivals and things like that, and Opera Roanoke and Opera on the James. Sometimes I'm down your way, Symphony of the Mountains down in Kingsport, Johnson City down that way. So we do a lot of traveling, playing various sorts of things.
Yeah, it's as close to get to Roanoke for me as it is to get to Johnson City or Kingsport. So would love to have a chance to hear the RSO play, particularly at Christmas time. I'm thrilled that Wytheville's going to get another shot to hear this. I'm thrilled that my family and I will get to hear it. And it's been a real pleasure to talk with you, Jay, and I'm looking forward. Maybe we'll have a chance to say hello to one another at the show.
Yeah, I would love that. So feel free to look for me, and I'll look for you out there if I'm not too blinded by the lights.
Well, you have my number now, so so hang on to it and be sure to give me a call. Be sure to give me a call or give me a text whenever you're coming in the Wytheville area. And I will try to get to as many shows as, it's not as, being wheelchair bound and everything, it's not as easy to travel as it is for some people, but I try to stay as mobile as I can for as long as I can. So love to be able to see more shows. And anyway, I'm thrilled that you're coming to the Millwald Theater. It's a great venue, a great theater. I'm so glad that it is a production house, if you will, now, because when it closed, it's been closed for 20 years, and I've been with the newspaper for about 20 years, and about that whole time I've been lobbying to please open the Millwald Theater back up, and to have it as a full running house, and to bring acts like the Roanoke Symphony Orchestra brass players in is a real thrill for us.
Well, it's a real treat for us to come and play as well, so we're really looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much again for talking with me. It's been a thrill. And is there anything else you want to mention that I did not cover?
No, I think we got most of it. We're looking forward to having a good time and making some great music and interacting with the audience. So,
well, I'm sure it'll be a great memory for my family and me for the holiday. And I appreciate you very much.
All right. I appreciate you reaching out. It's been my pleasure.